A.B. Coleman and the story behind this house. So here we are in front of this beautiful house in Burlington, Ontario. And we are in front of the Gingerbread House. It is my all-time favorite house. So what's the story behind the Gingerbread House? The Gingerbread House was built in 1893 by a very prolific builder of the time, A.B. Coleman. A.B. Coleman came to Canada as a young lad. He worked really hard, and by the time he was 21, he owned the Ontario planing mill, which some of you may recall became Nicholson. And so he learned to read and write blueprints, and very quickly decided he would like to build houses. So he had at least two brothers. One was Charles Finley Coleman and the other one was James Coleman. So Alfred was the builder. He would design the house, he would build it, and Charles was more of the indoor guy. He was the painter, the director, the decorator. He was more of the behind the scenes guy, and James certainly was the carpenter. A.B. Coleman was a very, he built a lot of houses in this neighborhood. So just down the street is a street called Nelson Avenue. He built several houses on Nelson Avenue, and they are characteristic. They are characterized by the trim, by the woodwork. But let's look at this particular house and try and understand why I particularly like this house. So A.B. Coleman built this house to showcase his talents. And what a talent this man had. If you look at the building itself and the different shapes, the oval windows, the oblong, the semicircle, the different textures, the woodwork, which I would believe was designed by his brother James, who was the carpenter. I mean, it's over the top. It's ornate, but it is stunningly beautiful. And the house over time has had several owners. I believe that in 1899, A.B. Coleman sold the house to a doctor, Dr. Wetherell, out of Hamilton. But it's had down times over its history. But in 1993, I believe it was, a couple, Tom Thompson and his wife Ivy, bought the house, and Ivy Thompson was interested in the gardens, and she did a lot of work on the gardens. After they left the property, it fell under hard times, and a local businessman had to come out of the woodwork and put some money into it to save it from being destroyed. So it's currently owned by the Burlington Furnished Rentals, who I think have done a stellar job of keeping it maintained, of maintaining the gardens. It's really quite a stunning property, particularly with the magnolia tree in the garden. Now let's get back to A.B. Coleman. Not only was he a very prolific local house builder, he also bought the Brant House, which is where the Joseph Brant Museum is today, the Joseph Brant Hospital. He bought the Brant House and built the Brant Hotel. And in fact, I believe he lived in the Brant Hotel. He then decided and was offered work in Toronto, and he and his family went off to Toronto. He did a lot of really important construction work there, a couple of the buildings at the exhibition centre, amongst other things, before coming back to Burlington and building the Brant Inn as we know it today, even though it no longer unfortunately exists. But he was instrumental in the building, not the managing, but the building of the Brant Inn. But that's a story for another day, and we will revisit the Brant Inn at some time in the future. Before I close, I have a bit of a conundrum. Written on the woodwork high up under the eaves there is on the woodwork is written Dupont, and it's written Dupont several times, and I've researched and asked people, just can't find out what does it mean. Nobody in this house owned the house by the name of Dupont. So if anybody out there has the answer to our request, please scroll down and leave your thoughts in the comments below on the YouTube channel.